The Wolf Predator was a highly skilled and experienced Yautja who, instead of being a mere hunter, specialised in dangerous cleanup missions to remove evidence of their species' activities, making sure that their technology does not fall into the wrong hands and their existence remains unnoticed. He was an accomplished xenomorph hunter and even had scarring on his face from their acidic blood. He had a lot of scar tissue on the left side of his face, with one of his mandibles melted off and blinded in one eye. He had the common yellowy-beige skin seen on the mainstream Yautja, but also had a more ornate structure of spikes around the top of his head and extra tusks and teeth, an indication that he was fairly advanced in age, but not as old as an elder. As his hair was still black, he had the appearance of a middle-aged Yautja. Wolf had more of a slender, wiry build to him, opposed to the predators featured in the first AVP film, and stood at 7 feet and 8 inches tall. He was very fast, mobile and strong, allowing him to overpower multiple xenomorph warriors at the same time. His rank within the Predator's society was that of an elite, meaning he is very experienced and proficient in killing the deadliest prey like xenomorphs, humans and other dangerous species, maybe even super predators. Elites are among the most skilled and seasoned Yautja and are very dangerous combatants. Wolf followed the Yautja honor code, only killing people if they are armed or could otherwise pose a threat to himself or reveal his existence. As an honourable elite, he would have been highly respected and distinguished within Yautja society. Wolf's biomask shared many similarities to the one worn by the City Hunter from Predator 2, however it did differ in some areas, being silvery grey in colour with runes on the forehead written in the Predator language and a row of thorns around the outer edge. He had matching coloured armour, which was less bulky than that seen on others, allowing him greater manoeuvrability at the cost of less protection, a trade-off that his fighting expertise would easily compensate for. Inside his lair, he was seen to possess a large collection of trophies from many different species, numerous biomasks, and a throne overlooking a valley on Yautja Prime. He was also shown to possess a large arsenal of weapons and equipment including wrist blades, twin plasma casters, combi stick, shuriken-style smart discs, medicomp and cloaking technology, as well as the previously unseen razor whip constructed from a xenomorph tail, used for wrapping around enemies and slicing them into pieces. Being made out of a xenomorph tail, it won't be damaged by acid. Laser mines, which once adhered to a surface, would project a crosshatch of laser beams used to trap xenomorphs inside a kill zone set up by the Predator, and will also cut through them if they make contact with the beams. Power Punch Glove, also called the Steel Wrist Shield, an extension of the wrist gauntlet forming brass knuckles, enabling the user enough force to smash holes through concrete, used for creating passages. A cleaner case containing tools used to clean up areas of evidence of both the Yautja's existence and of xenomorph infestations. The cleaner case houses a blue-coloured dissolving liquid which will vaporise anything organic that it touches, used for the disposal of human and xenomorph remains. A syringe used for extracting samples of DNA to then be injected into his wrist computer, which will then analyse it, giving his biomask a new vision mode for tracking that creature. The cleaner case features a built-in self-destruct device, different from the ones built into the wrist gauntlet, which instead of an explosion, uses an implosion to affect a smaller, more concentrated area more discreetly, such as a downed Predator ship. Aside from his standard equipment, the Wolf Predator also crafted a custom-built plasma pistol by combining parts of his twin shoulder-mounted plasma casters when they became damaged. This weapon functioned as a handheld plasma caster, manually aimed and fired like a pistol. When the Predator mothership left Earth, a Predalien chestburster emerged from the Scar Predator's body and made its way onto a scout ship which then separated from the main vessel. Once it had molted and grew to its adult size, the Predalien began killing the predators on board. One such Yautja, by the name of Bone Grill, cried out and alerted his clanmate, another predator named Bull, who upon seeing the Predalien on his ship, panicked and opened fire on it, but missed and caused a hull breach, causing the vessel to crash onto the earth, with the ship coming to rest in the town of Gunnison, Colorado in the US. This predator survived the impact and saw a number of facehuggers escaping from their storage tubes. The injured bull predator activated a distress signal beacon just before being finished off by the Predalien. The signal was picked up by the wolf predator, who gathered his hunting tools and cleaner case and set off for Earth in his own ship. When he landed, the wolf predator entered the downed vessel and paid respect to his fallen clanmates, then accessed a recording from Bull's biomask, finding out a Predalien was responsible and that a xenomorph infestation of the entire area is imminent. Wolf collected a sample of the fluid from the facehugger's cryotubes and injected it into his wrist gauntlet, giving him the ability to track them, then takes an additional plasma caster he finds, giving himself 2, and triggers an implosion bomb to remove all traces of the scout ship. He then sets off to destroy the xenomorphs. Having just used his dissolving liquid on a couple of human bodies which were hosts to xenomorphs, Wolf is spotted by a police deputy, but kills him before he can get away and reveal his presence. He then flays and hangs him from a tree to warn off other humans. Tracking the facehuggers to a sewer, Wolf deployed several laser mines dividing the tunnels into sections where he could deal with the xenomorphs individually without being overwhelmed. After taking care of a few aliens, Wolf gets attacked from behind by the Predalien and knocked off his feet, with a stray plasma blast opening up a hole for the xenomorphs to escape out from. Wolf uses his Power Punch glove to open up a passage to the streets above and pursues them. The Predator tracks one of the xenomorphs to the town's power station, where he is attacked by an alien and lands on a piece of metal, injuring him. In frustration, he fires many plasma caster shots but misses, damaging the station, cutting power to the entire town. Later at the swimming pool of a local school, he dispatches another xenomorph and disposes of it alongside a human it had killed. Healing himself, Wolf sees a human with a weapon and blows his head off. He sees another 2 and warns them not to pick up the weapon. At a gun shop, Wolf kills some more aliens and 2 humans with his dual plasma casters, as well as indirectly killing another by shooting a xenomorph and its acid blood dripping onto his face. After this encounter, Wolf's plasma casters had become damaged and he integrated them both together to make a handheld plasma pistol. He then proceeds to the hospital where the Predalien had begun the process of building a hive. There he kills even more xenomorphs and another human with one of his smart discs accidentally. In retaliation, Ricky, one of the other humans, shoots at him and he then gets attacked by another alien, knocking him down an elevator shaft and makes him lose his plasma pistol. On the roof of the hospital, as the surviving humans are taking off in the hospital's helicopter, Wolf punches a hole in the roof with his Power Punch glove and emerges, taking care of the last xenomorph warriors and prepares to battle the Predalien. The 2 monsters fight, but the Predalien proves to be a formidable opponent and Wolf's weapons are practically useless against the abomination. And with his biomask damaged, Wolf discards his equipment to fight the Predalien barehanded. Wolf fights bravely, but the Predalien is too powerful, but as it tries to headbutt him, he dodges and grabs its inner jaw, ripping it out, then rams his wrist blades through the Predalien's head. Immediately after, however, it impales Wolf with its tail and both combatants sustain fatal wounds. At that point, a fighter jet sent by the military drops a nuclear warhead on the town, wiping out all traces of the incident, including the surviving humans, the xenomorphs, and the wolf predator. At the end of the movie, we see that Wolf's plasma pistol has been recovered and given to Miss Yutani to be studied and reverse engineered. The wolf predator is one of my absolute favourite predators out of all the movies, and I like how he is an elite in contrast to the previous film where they were young bloods. One of my favourite things about him is how he has lots of new and different weapons and equipment too, such as him having 2 plasma casters. He was a really badass predator and a lot of people say he was the saving grace of AVPR, myself included. His name Wolf is in reference to the movie Pulp Fiction, named after a character who is also a cleaner and cleans up crime scenes of evidence. I remember before AVPR came out and I was really excited for it. I used to look on the website of the movie and on Google trying to find out any info for it I could, and I also remember watching some leaked footage of the throne scene and it had the music from Predator 1 as a placeholder, which was weird, but I imagine that was for until the actual score was finished. And I also remember watching the gun store scene online too. One part I've seen a lot of discussion over was how he killed that policeman who saw him and was running away. People say that was a bit out of character for a Predator to do that, and I kinda agree, but at the same time he was there to do a job and make sure no one found out about his species or the xenomorphs. And then why would he skin him and hang him up if he was trying to not arouse suspicion? I think that was possibly either just bad writing or they just wanted to get the skinning bodies reference in there and didn't really care about logic, and it probably just wasn't meant to be analysed so closely. One detail which was removed was supposed to be in the part where Wolf goes into the crashed scout ship. There was going to be skinned Predator bodies hanging up as if the Pred aliens skinned them like a Predator would. I'm glad they cut this though, as I think that doesn't really make sense, as the xenomorphs only take physical traits but not behavioural ones, like you don't see regular xenomorphs acting like humans. Something else as well was that people were wondering why he'd fight the Pred alien hand to hand to test his strength when he has the mission to complete, or like as if the Pred alien earned his respect like Dutch did in the first film. But to me it didn't come across as being like that, because you'll notice he did use his weapons at first, but they didn't do much good against the Pred alien. Like his whip got yanked out of his hand and his combi stick didn't do much good either, and his mask got damaged. That's why he unmasked himself. I do hope you enjoyed my video about the Wolf Predator. If you did, make sure you click the thumbs up button, and you can subscribe as well if you aren't already if you're interested in future videos from me. Then leave a comment saying what you thought about the Wolf Predator and AVPR. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.